Hey everyone! Today I promised you that I would give you some nutritional guidelines, some do's and don'ts, just some things that I try to live by because I certainly don't like the word diet. I don't like to count calories. I don't like to necessarily cut portions because quite honestly it really and truly is not calories in, calories out. It has more to do with the actual composition of your food and what you're eating, not necessarily the calories, because it is becoming sort of an old adage that it's calories in equals calories out, or if you ingest less calories and work out more, you're going to lose weight. Well, while that works for a short period of time, it does not necessarily work long term and can actually be detrimental to your health if you're not careful, especially when you look at the calorie intake that you are getting. Is it actually nourishing your body and giving you the needs, fulfilling your nutritional needs, every single day? So what I want to talk about today are what I would call the don'ts, or things to avoid. And then tomorrow I will talk to you about things that you can replace those don'ts with. So don't be discouraged if I name off a bunch of things and then you think, well, there's no solution there. What do I do instead? That will come tomorrow. So I will sort of give you the parallel universe of what you should be doing, or what I recommend that you do, instead of these that I'm going to give you today. Okay, so I'm going to try to go through them fairly quickly so that you guys can take notes, or at least a mental note of these. And if you have any questions, I can certainly answer those questions today or tomorrow as well, or anytime throughout the challenge. Okay, so some don'ts. Some of the obvious ones, things like sugar. You want to avoid your processed sugar. That does not necessarily just mean table sugar. It can mean, brown sugar. It can mean the artificial maple syrups. It can mean corn syrup or high fructose corn syrup, which is a GMO or a genetically modified food. So you want to avoid those sorts of things, as well as artificial sweeteners. And again, don't worry, I am going to tell you what you can use and what you should use. But artificial sweeteners, those are things like Splenda, aspartame, so like NutraSweet, sucralose, which of course is Splenda, sugar alcohols, which are also not good for you, things like sorbitol, xylitol, things like anything ending with etol is a sugar alcohol. So those are things you want to try and avoid as well. Pop is something, sometimes I've heard people say, well, the regular is better than the diet, or the diet's better than the regular. Quite honestly, they're two evils, and they both have their fair share of health issues that are linked to them. And so pop in general would be something that I would say to avoid. Processed foods. Now, most of us know that boxed, packaged, processed foods are not good for us. You may think that some of the meals, like the different maybe rice meals that are processed, prepackaged, things like diet foods, the 100-calorie snack packs, or the Weight Watchers or Smart One or Lean Cuisine, those kinds of meals. None of those are healthy, all right? You cannot believe the advertising, whether it's on TV or on the package. You really do have to look not just at the nutritional information, because even that can be misleading for what the government permits to be placed on those. So there are loopholes for companies to get around some of those things. So really what you need to look at is the actual ingredients list. So alcohol, definitely something you should cut back on, if not avoid, for at least a little while. Alcohol can actually shut down your fat loss, and it actually turns to sugar in your blood, which leads to fat storage. So you definitely want to be careful with that if losing weight is your concern. Trans fats, this is a big one. Often been lumped with saturated fats with a lot of studies, which is what's given saturated fat a bad name. And I know that is not conventional wisdom. That is not stuff you're going to hear from a lot of people, but in fact is scientifically proven. So trans fats are things that you can, if you look in an ingredients list and you see partially hydrogenated oil, of any kind, then you know that there's trans fat in that food. Now, the government permits up to 0.5 grams per serving of trans fat for the company to still say it has 0 grams of trans fat and even claim that on the label or on the packaging. But if you look in the ingredients list and it says partially hydrogenated oil, then you know there's trans fat. That is the most deadly kind of fat. Fat in and of itself is extremely healthy if it's a healthy source of fat, and we need a lot more fat than most of us are getting, and because fat has gotten such a bad rap in the last 30 or so years. So I would definitely watch out for trans fat, because even a small amount like 0.5 grams is actually pretty dangerous, and I can't believe the government allows any of it in our food, but there it is. Something else that is tricky is industrial seed oils. So things like basically processed vegetable oil, quote unquote vegetable oil, which is not really made from vegetables, corn oil, soy oil, safflower or sunflower oil, canola oil is often one that people think is healthy. It is absolutely not. Very, very high in omega-6, which is extremely inflammatory inside the body. We need a little, but definitely not as much as our typical American diet is giving us. And grapeseed oil, and margarine, of course, which is sort of in the same family. Those are extremely inflammatory, and much of the disease that's in our country right now that is very preventable is actually part of that is because of the high omega-6 content, which creates inflammation. And so inflammation is definitely an issue, not just with arthritis. We look at arthritis and know that that is inflammation in the joints, but things like cancer, heart disease, obesity, all of those do stem from silent or internal inflammation that is hard to really detect until the disease is actually present and showing signs in your body. So again, I am not big on restricting calories to the point, where you're pulling so much, you're only eating so much, you're working out like crazy, and then you wonder why you plateau. Our brain uses up 80% of our calories. So, we still have other function in our bodies that need that fuel. And that's what food should be to us, is fuel. And much of what I just gave you is what I would call toxic, I don't even know if I can call them foods really, but that toxic ingredients, those toxic things are what's really causing havoc in our body. And this is not just about weight loss, though high toxicity can definitely create a difficult environment for your body to lose the weight, lose the fat. But not only that, it just puts your health in danger. And if not now, it's setting you up for a lot of problems down the road. So those are some things to avoid. All right, so again, sugar, artificial sweeteners, pop, industrial seed oils, or margarine, trans fat, which comes in, of course, a lot of processed foods. Again, processed foods or diet foods, packaged foods in and of themselves, and alcohol. So those are just a few things that you want to really consider taking out of your diet altogether, but I know sometimes it's hard to do all at once. You might need to do it out over a period of time, kind of slowly, but the sooner you can get those out of your diet, out of your everyday eating, the better. And then tomorrow I will share with you the pros, the things that you do want to do, all right, the do's, things that you want to replace some of these things with, what your options or alternatives are that are going to be on the healthy spectrum. So you guys have an awesome day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.